Okay, so today's date is 4/26/21, and we're going to learn all about circles this week, or at least for 2 days. Circles, circles, circles. Okay, the first thing we have to learn about is there are two parts, I guess, of a circle. Okay, you'll have a center dot, right? It'll be right in the center, and then I'll have a line extending to the outside of the circle. Okay, when you have this type of line that goes like halfway from the center of your circle out, this is what we call the radius. Okay, so when you have like just like a half a line, doesn't go all the way through, it just goes from there. This is called the radius. Now, if you have a dot in the center and your line goes all the way through the center dot, and then from one edge, part, side, I don't want to call it a side, from one side, I guess, circle to the other side, when it's like the whole line, when it crosses the whole line, that is called your diameter. And some of you may have already heard this vocabulary. Maybe you heard it on Alex. I don't know, maybe. So when it's half, it's called the radius. And when it goes all the way through, it's called the diameter. Okay, so two vocabulary words that we have to learn today. Radius is when it's half, and the diameter is the whole thing. Okay? So, and there's a relationship between these two. This is half of this. It's half, or this one's double this one. So for example, if I give you a circle that has a radius of 5 inches. So the radius is equal to 5 inches. I know that the diameter of the circle, of the same circle, the diameter will be double it. So what's double 5? What's 5 times 2? Well, that means that my diameter is equal to 10. So if my radius is 5 and I take 5 times 2, I get my diameter of 10 inches. So all you have to do in order to find diameter, you just have to double or times 2 the radius. Okay? So if the radius is 5, that means the diameter is 10. Super simple math. Let's do another one. Center maybe goes out like this way, but still half. What if I go, the radius is 7? What does that make the diameter? Okay, so the radius is 7. What would be the diameter of this problem? Anyone can tell me? Can anyone tell me what would be the diameter of this problem? If the radius is 7, what's the diameter? Yep, thank you for participating. So we just take 7 times 2, and that gives you 14. Okay, so if I give you radius, all you have to do is multiply by 2, and you get diameter. Now, what if we go backwards? What if I give you the diameter is 20? What's the radius of the same circle? What would be the radius if the diameter is 20? Yeah, to get to radius, you would take 20 and divide by 2. Why do we divide by 2? Because we're cutting it in half. Right, we're cutting it in half, so that means that my radius is 10. Okay? So if I give you the whole thing and I want just half of it, you just divide it by 2, right? Give me just half the pizza. So if you're going to go backwards, you're going to divide by 2. All right? Are we okay with this? We understand the difference between radius and diameter? They're different, but yet they are like related. They need each other. Okay? So they do need each other. All right, so that's radius and diameter. We're going to need this information for the following math. All right. Now, do you guys know what pi is? And I don't mean apple pie. The Greek symbol pi. Pi. Does anybody out there know approximately what does pi equal to approximately?
3.14.
Yes. So it's approximately 3.14. Very good. Pi is a very famous number. You will get you will use 3.14 for in high school, maybe even college math. So it is a very, 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 very common number to use when we're dealing with circles. Okay. So pi, this is the Greek symbol for pi. You'll see it written like this in math problems. And all that means it has a value of 3.14. So we're going to use the value of 3.14. All right. So what I'm going to teach you a lot today, is how to find the circumference of a circle. I'm going to teach you how to find the circumference of a circle. And maybe Alex already taught you how to find the circumference of a circle. Here they have it. Now you might be like, what in the world is a circumference, Miss Amali? Looks like a big word. Yeah, it is. So I have a circle, right? If I were to take a walk along my circle, I'm at the park going around the circle. Let's say like the circle is like a lake. And I go all the way around the circle. When you go all the way around the circle, you are finding the circumference. So circumference to me is just like a fancy word for perimeter, right? In elementary school, you learned what perimeter was of like a square, a triangle, of any shape. All you had to do is go around and count the outside, right? Add up all the sides. Well, circumference is very similar. You're adding up going around the circle, but we don't call it perimeter because we're super special in math. So we come up with a brand new name, circumference, and that's what it basically perimeter is. But when it comes to a circle, we don't call it perimeter. We call it circumference. So circumference is just like perimeter. When you go all the way around the circle, that is called circumference. Okay? To find circumference, you're going to use the following formula. C, which stands for circumference. Circumference is equal to pi times your diameter. Okay? Circumference is equal to pi times your diameter. Now you might be like, what? Don't worry. It's pretty easy. Okay? The best part is that you get to use a calculator. So we're going to break down this formula in a second. Make sure you have a calculator around. Grab that cell phone or on your iPad or Google search calculator. All right. So I want to know, what is the circumference? Okay. So we're given a circle. All right. So we're given a circle, right? We see that the diameter is 15. So the diameter is equal to 15 centimeters, which is perfect. That's what I need. I need to know what the diameter is. I don't need to know what the radius is because the formula calls for diameter. So boom, I know that diameter is 15. I want to know what circumference is. Well, circumference is equal to pi times diameter. All right, here's my problem. Here's my formula. Now we get to substitute the information that we know. We know that the diameter is 15 because the circle tells us it's 15 times. What is pi? What is the approximate value of pi? Approximate value of pi is 3.14. So we're going to use 3.14 in our problems because our formula always asks us to use pi. So pi is 3.14 times your diameter. If I look at my circle has a diameter of 15, so I'm going to use it. This will give me what the circumference is. So what you do is you take your calculator and you take 3.14 times the diameter, which is 15, equals 47.1. So that's my answer. My circumference is equal to 47.1 centimeters. Not centimeters squared, just plain centimeters. It's perimeter, so we don't square it. And that's our answer, 47.1. How did I get that answer? I just multiplied these two numbers using my calculator. 3.14, because that's the value of pi. You're always going to use 3.14. And then whatever the diameter is of your circle, you just plug it in. Multiply them, and that's it. That's your answer. That's it. We're done. So easy. Let's try another one. So we're going to have a circle. Let's say it's 5 yards. So the hardest part of this is realizing, did I give you a radius or did I give you a diameter? Well, if I go all the way through, I have given you the diameter. So the diameter is 5 yards. Cool. That's good to know. The formula for finding circumference is equal to pi times your diameter. Hence, we need to know what the diameter is. Okay, so now it's time to plug in your numbers. Pi will always be 3.14 times your diameter. And you look at your circle and you're like, oh, it goes through the whole circle. So that's my diameter. My diameter is 5. So now I'm going to find out what my circumference is. So you take your calculator again, and you're going to type in 3.14, and you're going to multiply it by 5, your diameter. 15.7. All right. So I'm going to use that. 15.7. Look back at my units. My unit says yards, so I'm going to plug in as yards. So my circumference is equal to 15.7 yards. How are we feeling about this? Okay. Basically, if you know the formula, you plug in your numbers. All you're doing is pi is always 3.14. That doesn't change. And your diameter is whatever this long line is. The only way I can confuse you is the following. If I give you a circle, right, and I do this to you. Ooh, I'm trying to trick you. I'm trying to trick you because is this my diameter? It's not. This is my radius. That's my radius. But I don't need my radius. I need my diameter. So what would be the diameter of this problem? So the radius is 2. Oh, darn. Just gave you the answer. The radius is 2, but I want to know what the diameter is. So how do I determine the diameter if the radius is 2? Go back to the first part of your notes that we took. What would be the diameter of this problem?
4.
4, right? You would double this number. So this is how I trick you. I trick you because I give you the radius, right? So instead of, you can't use the 2. You have to determine what the diameter is. And how do you determine it? You just multiply by 2. That's it. Okay? So then, gonna use your formula. Pi is 3.14 times 4, not times 2. Don't use 2. But Miss O'Malley, it's in the circle. The circle says 2. Yes, I know. But we're not looking for radius, we're looking for diameter. So circumference is equal to, grab the calculator, 3.14 times 4, 12.56 inches. Okay, so be careful. I'll give you another one that looks like this. So that's that. and then they'll have a dot in the middle, centers, and then they'll have like a line, right? And let's say it's 8 feet. Okay, 8 feet. This is the radius because it's half. So I want to know what the diameter is. Before we start doing circumference, we got to make sure we have the correct information. So we got to make sure that we know what the diameter is. The diameter for this problem is
16.
Thank you, 16. So now we can use that information to plug in. So pi is 3.14 times 16. This one, not 8. You got to use 16. Okay? That's the number. That's the way to get this problem wrong, is to use 8. It's like, nope, I got to figure out what the diameter is. Okay, so 3.14 times 16. And our circumference is equal to 50.24 feet. And that's it. So, and this is the work I want to see. When you're doing your classwork and you're going to turn in a picture to me, I want to see what you multiplied by, like what numbers did you plug in, and then your answer. But Miss Amelia, I used a calculator. Yeah, I know, me too. But I still told you what I plugged into my calculator, right? I still told you what the diameter is. I drew my picture. So this is the type of work that I want to see when I'm grading your classwork later on today, okay? So I want to make sure that you're telling me what numbers you plugged in. Yes, you're going to write 3.14 like 1,000 times. No big deal. That's how it's going to be stuck in your head. And then you're going to tell me what it equals, right? So I understand that you plug this into the calculator and this is what you got. Don't skip it though. If you just tell me answers, I just give you a 0. You made my life easier. All right. Any questions?